What's going on, guys? It's fineokay, and today I'm bringing you guys a video on how to play the level 1 in Season 5. I made a similar video back in Season 4, and it got a lot of views, a lot of interest, because I just feel like a lot of people do not know how to play the level 1 correctly. And if you do play it correctly, it'll set you up for the laning phase pretty well. So I do think it's important. So we're going to talk about it in Season 5, because in Season 4 I think it was a lot more straightforward. Season 5 a little bit trickier, so we're going to go over that today. One of the first things you have to ask yourself is, what type of god are you playing? Are you playing a god that gets out-cleared very hard? Are you playing a god that can match their clear? Or are you playing a god that's going to out-clear them pretty hard as well? An example of that is probably like Bologna or something. An example of you getting out-cleared really hard is Sobek, and we're going to talk about how you play level 1 as Sobek, and a lot of similar guardians or warriors that are super low pressure and just can't really clear level 1. Another thing is, what is your build? If you're going Warrior's Blessing, which you usually should be, pretty much, I guess, every time, you're not going to do a lot of damage to the wave, right? It's not going to help with your clear at all because you have no power from it. It's giving you no extra damage to your abilities, but it just gives you a lot of tankiness and sustain. So if they go something like Mage's Blessing, or maybe just an item that gives them power, they're going to out-clear you pretty easily because they're just going to have extra damage on their autos and extra damage on their abilities. But yeah, I'm just going to show you guys how to play level 1. I'm going to start off with Sobek. Like I said, this is a low pressure guardian. The first thing that I'm doing is I'm staying right around here near my blue and near my tier 2 tower, because I want to make sure that the enemy solo laner doesn't walk up and try and hit the wave, proxy it at level 1, so he can get a lot of damage on the minions. So then when they meet in lane, he'll have the minions already a little bit lower than they should be. This will just apply a lot of pressure on me and my jungler. A lot of times it will result in nothing, but it's still important to make sure that you check for this. A very good character to perform this with is Kakolin, so if they have a Kakolin, really be on the lookout for this, because he'll be able to stack his rage. He'll take no damage from the minions, and if he brings the minions with him, they'll stack up his rage really easily. And if he transforms level 1, he can kind of contest blue a bit, so you just have to be careful for that. So I walk into lane here. The first thing that you should be doing on this low pressure god is making sure you get the front, the melee minions. That's the only thing you're going to be able to clear, really. Because you want XP for your blue buff, but you need to also make sure that you don't miss out on any of these minions. So I'm just going to make sure that I get my Warrior's Blessing stacks that I need. So I'm going to get 2 here. That's usually what you will have. But I also cleared the front minions, but there's no way I'm ever going to clear those back minions in time. Like I said, this is a custom game, and this isn't like the most perfect scenario, because a lot of times there'll be a mid laner helping with speed and stuff like that. But basically, this is what you're supposed to do. You want to hug that blue wall so that you can get credit for blue, while also getting credit for those front melee minions. On a god like Sobek, you can grab your pluck level 2 as well, and then dash back in the lane to make sure you don't miss out on any of these minions. It's really good to grab your pluck level 2 on Sobek, just because you can kind of zone them out and make sure that you can pluck them in the tower if they ever walk up. So we're going to go through this again. Just full screen it and skip ahead. So this is just me covering the proxy, like I said. But when you're playing these low pressure gods that aren't going to clear very well, like I said, you just want to make sure you get credit for those front 3 minions. Make sure you don't lose credit on the back minions, at least in XP. It's fine if you let them go into tower and you lose the gold for them. It's no big deal. But just make sure you're hugging that blue wall so that the jungler will bring it towards the wall, and you'll get credit for blue and also for the wave, because it's very important to hit level 2 on that second wave. If you're level 2 and the enemy solo isn't, you're going to apply a lot of pressure with that, and vice versa. If they're level 2 and you're not, then you're going to get out pressure pretty hard. And a god like Sobek, or any low pressure guardian, a lot of these low pressure guardians that or warriors can play towards their tower line, because they want to make sure that they can zone out the enemy solo. Like especially on Sobek, you can pluck them into tower, like I said. We're just showing it again. Right here is the sweet spot, right where those minions start hitting you, but don't walk into tower. One of them did, unfortunately, but you can make it so that they don't hit the tower at all, and you don't lose out on any gold, but also you're getting credit for the blue buff so you can hit level 2. That's the easiest way to play Sobek level 1, or any similar low pressure warrior or guardian. So that's Sobek. Now we're going to look at a god where we're matching in clear. It's going to be a little bit different, but a lot of the same. I'm going to be covering the proxy option again, just because Chalk can definitely do it. He can walk up here and throw his axe out and never be in range of the minion, so you won't take any damage from him. So it's something I can do to make sure he doesn't do that. But I could also go and look for the proxy myself, because if the enemy solo isn't on their toes and making sure that I don't do that, I can throw out my cudgel and get a lot of damage on the minions, and I'll be able to outclear a Chalk, who should match my clear pretty well. I could outclear him pretty easily if I were able to do that. Something else you can do when you're matching in clear is give up all the pressure. Not all the pressure, but do the same thing you do on Sobek, and you just clear the front 3 minions, and then walk over to your blue and do basically the exact same thing. Because the good part about this is that the minions are going to be closer to you, and if they go all the way to their blue buff to grab it, they're going to have to walk all the way back to the lane to get the credit for the next minions. And if you just sit there and let the minions kill themselves, they'll actually lose out on XP. You're zoning them, and that's really, if they're missing out on minions in the earlier levels, that's super important. Just make sure that I'm getting my Warriors blessings. But sometimes what will happen is when your jungler is on blue, you're going to lose credit for that wave. But the thing is, if he stays and pushes that wave, he won't get credit for blue, and then also these minions will be towards my tower line, which means he won't be getting credit if I zone him out, right? So if you're against a good player, we're just going to go back because it looked kind of weird. If you're against a good player, I try to replicate this with Ash as one of my mods. What they'll do is they'll leave with 3 minions up, and you'll leave with 3 minions up, and you'll both get credit for your blues, and you'll come back to lane with the minions just hitting each other. The waves are frozen. Because like I said before, the issue is if you stay and clear that wave, you won't get credit for blue, but also you're going to be pushing minions towards their tower line, and then you're going to take forever to get back to the wave, and some of your minions, or you're going to die and you're going to miss out on XP. So a lot of times what good players will do is they'll clear only 3 minions, walk towards their blue to make sure they get credit for that, to avoid this issue, right? Something I could have done better in this, but it's just like an example. I was just trying to show you guys an example of how to play this level 1, is get my Warriors blessings a little bit better. Wukong's really good at that, but nonetheless, like I said, if you're playing against a solo laner who knows what they're doing, and you know what they're doing, or you know what you're doing, because I'm teaching you how to do it right now, you can just leave those 3 minions, go get credit for your blue, to make sure that you don't get zoned out on any minions on the next wave. So that's basically how do you play the gods when you're matching in clear. Of course, Ashes doesn't have help on his blue, so usually he'd be here again, but I'm just pushing the wave. But also, since he didn't have help on his blue and he wouldn't come here, I didn't zone him, but you could look to zone if they're not in lane. Basically, always look to zone in the early levels if they're not in lane, because they'll lose out on gold and XP, and it's super important early on. So that's how you play the level 1 when you're matching in clear. Like I said, you could do it a little bit differently and just give up all pressure and make sure the minions come towards your tower line and do the exact same thing you do on Sobek, where you hug the wall and make sure you get credit for blue, and hit level 2 and make sure those archers don't walk into tower and you take them up. But you could also play it like that when you can match their clear. So next up, we're going to do a good clear god. I'm using Kukulkan for this because what I'm actually going to do is show you the proxy where you go level 1 towards their tier 2 and hit it. What you have to do is actually be on the lookout, but do a little scouting to make sure that they don't see you. Just kind of hang out in this side of the jungle. Of course, we're doing it with Ashes in a custom game, so you can't really, there's no real replication of it, but I'm going to be looking for them, making sure that they don't see me. And like I said, it's really good on Kukulkan because you can stack your rage and you can transform pretty early in level 1. But you could also do this on other gods, like Wukong, like I said before, gods that can just hit the entire wave really easily and then walk away. But they can kill you if they catch you doing this, if their jungler comes over. If their solo comes over, they're never going to kill you, pretty much no matter who they are. But this is just an example of being able to proxy it. So now I'm stacking my rage with my autos. I could also let these minions hit me. I'll take 0 damage from it, basically, and I'll also be stacking up my rage. But it's just a way to apply a lot of pressure and transform level 1 pretty easily. Just make sure you get your Warriors Blessing stacks as well. See, I'm about to transform. Their jungler should be on their blue right now, and I can maybe walk over there and mess with them when I'm playing a god like Kukulkan who's going to transform, right? So that's an example of the proxy. But the same thing applies when you're playing something like Bologna, who just has really good clear, and you're going to be able to outclear them. A lot of times you won't be able to go to their blue because you're not going to have any secure over them on blue, and their jungler does a lot of damage to it, and you don't want to put yourself in that position. But if you have such good clear that you're just going to outclear super hard, all you're going to have to do is walk back to your blue. Sometimes junglers don't really know that you need credit for that, so you need to make sure you tell them to wait for you at the blue, because they can wait a little bit of time on it and not clear it to make sure you get credit, because it's more important for you to get credit and them wait a few seconds than it is for them to be faster in their clear. So just say, like, you know, on my way, spam I'm on my way after your first wave, or say wait, and like ping them on the blue buff to make sure they know if they're, you know, kind of looking sketchy. So a lot of times, like I said, you're going to be clearing it toward their tower line because you have a lot better clear, which means, you know, you want credit for this blue buff. Bria actually didn't give me credit for it because it was just a custom game, but yeah, you just want to make sure that you get credit for it. And since you have to walk all the way across the lane, since you're at their tower line, just make sure that you kind of tell your jungler, hey, wait, so I can get credit. Because like I said, you really want to get credit for both the wave and the blue buff so you can hit 2 and keep up the pressure for level 2. So that's how you do it when you are playing a good clear god, and also a little example of the proxying when you're playing a god like a Colin or anybody else with similar level 1. And that's basically it, guys. It's really simple. Just a quick overview. If you get out cleared, or even maybe if you match them in clear, what you can do is kill the front 3 minions, let them out clear you, tank the back 3 minions so that you can get credit for blue by hugging the wall, also getting credit for the wave. And most importantly, this allows their wave to come towards your tower line, which you want because you can have the opportunity to zone them out on a god like Sobek or anything like that. Even Hercules, who is sometimes a better clear god than most. He can zone them out if he plays towards his tower line. So be on the lookout for that. But when you're playing a good clear god, just make sure that you clear as fast as possible on your god. Make sure you're getting your Warrior's Blessing stacks. Something I didn't really talk about too much is make sure that you're getting your Warrior's Blessing stacks every 10 seconds. If it's off cooldown, just run up and hit them with an auto and make sure you're getting it, because you want to be consistently getting that so that you never run out of mana or health, stay sustained, because you don't want to waste pots when you don't need to, because Warrior's Blessing actually is a lot of sustain. So like I said, if you're playing a good clear god, just make sure you clear as fast as you can, and then tell your jungler to wait for you at blue buff so you can get credit for all of that. It is always an option to just let them out clear you and play towards your tower line, which I think is actually a huge strength in Season 5, especially with Warrior's Blessing being so good. You can just tank minions forever and not let them go into your tower so you don't lose gold. And it also gives you the opportunity to zone them out if they have to run all the way back to their blue buff. So yeah, keep that in mind, and also keep in mind when you're playing a god that out clears really hard, like say Bellona, make sure that you get back to the wave as fast as possible, because if they're playing smart, they can zone you out. See, I'm going to out clear right here, and he still has a bunch of minions to clear, and say I'm playing Bellona, I'd be already walking towards my blue buff. What he can do is just sit here and tank the minions and make sure that my minions kill the enemy minions, and I'll lose out on golden XP. So it's a little confusing, but basically just make sure you get credit for the wave and the blue buff, and you'll be set so you can be level 2. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you learned anything, if you have any questions or anything like that. Sorry if I stumbled over words or it sounded confusing at times. I do hope you guys understand me when I'm talking about this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace out, guys.